Hi everyone and welcome to Bushel Park Golf Club and Academy. So today we are going to be talking about wedges, and in particular we're going to look at the bounce and grind options available from different companies and which one's going to best suit your style of play as well as the golf courses that you play at. So to start with, we are going to focus on Titleist wedges. So at the moment I'm looking at the SM8 wedges, and in the SM8 wedges you have 6 different grind options as well as a multitude of bounce options. So what does that do? Well, different grind options are available to offer you different style of wedges based on the style of player that you are. So, for example, an F grind, which they do in their full grind, which means the whole sole is shaved. Really designed for fuller shots, so you'll find that will generally come in their lower lofted wedges, so the replacement of a pitching wedge in a 46 down to a 50 or 52. So the wedges you're going to be playing a full shot with. Then we have the S grind. So the S grind, or square grind, has relief taken away from the trailing edge, which is for players who are going to look to manipulate their ball position, but not change the club face. So we're not opening the club face up with this club, we are changing ball position and keeping that leading edge square. And that's what the relief around that back of the sole is going to help with. Then we get onto a couple more of the distinctive wedges that we'll see a lot more often, which is the M grind. Now the M grind is a multiple grind. It has toe and heel relief as well as central relief. It's for players that want to manipulate club face as well as ball position, so it gives you a multi-grind effect. You'll find that comes in their higher lofted clubs, the lob wedges of 60 or 58 and sand wedges 56 and 54. Then we get on to a couple of more unique ones. Now the first one we've got is the D wedge, or D grind, sorry. D grind is what they refer to as their player's high bounce grind. So you still get the same relief as you get with a multi-grind, heel and toe and along the trailing edge, but it's a much higher bounce option than we have with the M grind. So it's going to be someone who's very much a digger, so they like getting it more aggressively down into the ball, but it's allowing them to keep that high bounce of the back to keep the club going through the turf. So the last two are their K grind and their L grind. Now L grind is their low bounce option, so it's 4 degrees of bounce and only comes in a 60-degree wedge. We don't stock it in the shop purely because it's designed for very hard, compact soil, and it's not really the style of club or golf course that we have. It's more of a links style club. And the other one is a K grind. Now the K grind is what they refer to as their ultimate bunker club. Very wide sole, high bounce, allows you to get very aggressive through the sand. So they're the 6 grind options that you have from Titleist. Now which ones would suit you really depends on the style of player you're going to be. And I wouldn't suggest that you need the same grind throughout the bag. It will be a mixture of grinds that you're looking to have. So if you are someone who likes or has 3 or 4 wedges in the bag, you will not find that you have the same grind on all of those wedges. You will find there will be a mixture of 2 or even 3 different grind options. Just depends on the style of play you are. So I would generally find that an M grind will be in everyone's bag, could be in the 58. Then you'll have an S grind and possibly an F grind as well. The F grind will fit into that gap wedge sort of mould, whereas the F grind will be more into the 50 or 48 degrees into that pitching wedge. And we're getting that gap opening up more because pitching wedges and 9-irons become a lot stronger in standard sets. So we are finding a lot more people are carrying 3 and 4 wedges in their bag. Okay, so that's grind options. So the last one is bounce options. Now bounce options vary from club to club. You do have higher bounces as you go through to the middle of your wedges, and then they start to soften off as you go towards the bottom end of your wedges. But there is bounce on every club in your golf bag. Every iron in your bag has a degree of bounce on it, and it's the same in the wedges. And really what determines what bounce you need is looking at your divot pattern. So if you're someone who does a very shallow or just scars the top of the grass, you are going to look for less bounce. You don't need the relief, and in which case we can get that leading edge nice and close to the ground. If you're someone who does take a divot, but not a substantial divot, again it's cutting through, just getting down to the soil, you're going to be more of a mid bounce. And if you're someone who does take a big deep divot, then you are looking for a higher bounce. That's just a generalisation based on a full shot. Obviously there are differences when we get into around the greens, and people like to play different shots, and it is about testing out the best style of wedges to suit your game. But that's our overview of wedges, and that's really looking at what bounce and grind options are best going to suit you. There are other companies that offer some versatility in the wedges. Cobra offer 3 different sole options, so they don't do bounce and grind, they do a sole variation, they do a varied, they do a wide, they do a tour, and really look at the width of the sole and also how much relief you get on each of those clubs. But the bounce option is set for the club that they have, and they are pretty generalised based and similar to what we see with a Titleist wedge. You also have companies like Ping who do a similar thing. They do 3 different widths of sole, but they don't do a bounce option. And you also have companies like Callaway who with their Mac Daddies or their jaw wedges, which again have quite a high bounce, but you can get different bounces in some of their ranges. Titleist do offer the most comprehensive range of wedges based on loft, bounce and grind. And if there isn't a wedge that suits you in Titleist, then there probably isn't one made. So hopefully you enjoyed that. A little bit of information about wedges. If you'd like to find any more information, please get in contact. I'd like to also remind everyone that we are now taking donations for my 125 hole challenge, which will be taking place sometime in the late part of June. That date may change depending on what happens with the virus and the situation at the moment, but it will happen this year, and all the money we raise will go to the Captain's Charity, which this year is the British Heart Foundation. So you can find our Just Giving page on my website and also the club's website. You'll have it coming out in the newsletters as well as multiple other forms of media and social media as we get closer to the time. So that's going to be 30th of June at the moment. But for now, stay safe. Hopefully we'll be golfing soon.